Hands down, the first thing I need to talk about with this new My Hero Academia episode is that new opening with its visual directing. I mean, I can't be the only one who is just so blown away visually by what they did. Like, there's some cuts in that opening where, don't get me wrong, the songs and the ending songs are fantastic, but the style that they went for the new opening, I mean, if I had an entire anime as long running as My Hero Academia in that aesthetic with that lighting directing, the line work when there was like that one explosion from an attack, that'd probably be my favorite aesthetic I think I've ever seen in anime. There was just something so creative but so bold, but just felt like it was so different than normal anime in general, and I gotta say, I was impressed with both visually and audio-wise the opening and ending songs. But for this episode, we get more of the aftermath of the entire battle that just took place over 13 episodes, right? And they do sneak in that classic My Hero Academia recap, which, you know, the show's notoriously known for. The one thing I can give credit to, and to play devil's advocate, I wish, in general, we didn't have probably 75% of the recap that we had in this episode. I think a little bit served purpose, but to play devil's advocate, you can understand the purpose in the way of like, hey, we literally are having the story from beginning to end of what society, what hero society in general, now has the full picture of what happened from beginning to end, and it really puts into perspective how screwed Hero Society is. You can argue, well, we already knew that, but the recap does remind us in a way of showing us those key highlights while also showing us the destruction. I think if I had my way, the only difference I would have done is I maybe wouldn't have shown as many heroic hero moments, maybe just kind of show off the carnage and maybe the key moments of defeat slash where public opinion could waver, and in return that would have served to be a bit better. But here's the thing, I mean, it's not the end of the world. My Hero Academia is still better than where it was with recap, and I think when you look at what they were doing, it's going to be a hit or a miss for some people. Did it ruin the episode for me? Absolutely not. But did it make me want to skim a bit in the episode? Oh, absolutely. So yeah, like, I did do a full live reaction. It's not the most exciting thing ever because, I mean, it is at points just a recap, but I think the stuff that is there, it definitely gets your mind racing, and like, the thing I'm most excited about, and have been pretty much since, I would say, the middle point of this season, and especially since the last episode they left us off with, is what would Hero Society look like? Because there's arguments to be made that the villains could probably make an argument that they won, or the heroes could make an argument that they won, or both could say they lost and won in different ways. You look at heroes capturing 13,000 people and only 130 bad people escape. That could be argued as a victory. But when you look at the morale, where you have heroes looking at the carnage saying, I need to find another line of work. When you have civilians no longer believing or gossiping or second guessing this Dabby guy, like, you know, no matter what endeavor is screwed. When you really look at the broad support, that, you know, the All Might statue, I am not here, right? Everything about it feels like there is no longer that trust. When you add in the fact that Shigaraki's saying, I'm not going to give them time to recover. I saw some people, I think it was in the previous video, if not the video before that, they're saying, you know, he'll still have to recover. In return, like, someone like Deku will be able to recover, so, like, they both will be able to, but based on the end of the episode, it feels like he's not going to give them that time. That even if things didn't go quite according to plan, it's just going to be beatdown after beatdown after beatdown. You can make an argument, well, they're giant beasts that caused half of the destruction they captured. You have to really put into perspective that when they were all at full strength, and Shigaraki wasn't, they couldn't do this. And the only argument that I've seen that kind of counters this is that, well, Deku's also not at full strength because he doesn't have all of his abilities unlocked that we know he can eventually use given his quirk and the previous people who used it. And yes, that's technically true, and obviously the direction they'll go in order to eventually give Deku that W in order to overthrow Shigaraki for good. But as it stands, Hero Society is still going to suffer defeats and L's to the point where I'm still expecting there's going to be an arc in this show. I don't know if it'll be this season, even know if it'll be the first quarter of next season, but I would not be shocked in the slightest if the people who we see get arrested in this episode, who are basically the sympathizers, right? They're saying, hey, we're arresting because they were saying they were more on the right. How many times and how long until it takes before you can't arrest them anymore because they outnumber you? If Shigaraki gets to the point where general people are now more on his side, not necessarily because of loyalty, but out of fear because we'd rather fight for the winning side, Hero Society, that's when it truly crumbles. Has it crumbled yet? No. But from the chairwoman's death to everything we've seen over 13, 14 episodes, it's hard to imagine them being able to come out victorious, but time will tell. Will they eventually? I would assume so. It would be the end of the manga / end of the anime, in my opinion. But for right now and in the immediate future, I don't think so. And that's what I like about this, is like, for me, these types of episodes are great. The only thing I would have changed, like I said, is the amount of recap. But I think seeing more Aftermath is fine. We've been seeing Aftermath, but I think it's important to really see it from other perspectives. Not only other heroes who are saying, I want to quit, but civilians who are crying. And yeah, there's some amazing rescue missions from like Ochako and stuff, but it doesn't change the fact that it does feel helpless. The thing that makes this season of My Hero my favorite My Hero season is the fact that rather than it just feeling like there's this big scale battle and the heroes don't end up all dead, instead of just saying like, yeah, they're beaten and they're gonna go heal themselves and regroup, instead they're saying, big character dead, or here's dozens of heroes that maybe we weren't overly fans of per se, in the way of like, oh, if they die, I'm gonna shed a tear. But when you start rapid firing, like a machine gun firing at you, just trying to, it's like salt bullets going into the wound of your heart, it really makes you say like, damn, even if I'm not breaking down and crying like some of these characters, to see them like that and to see characters like Midnight not make it, like we pretty much knew she didn't, but to really see that in the context of everyone else that they lost, how can you look at those numbers that they captured and say that more than makes up for it because you didn't get the head honcho in charge? And in doing so, he's going to come back. He's a lunatic right now. I don't even think he'll wait for full recharge, or maybe he just will be able to regenerate way faster than they're ever predicting. And how do you go about it when characters like Deku, Endeavor, wheeled off in a hospital bed, and you have the characters who may not even be able to erase quirks for all that long anymore, given Eraserhead? I mean, yeah, he cut his leg off, but was that enough to truly stop him from losing his ability forever? Like, we don't know, right? There's just a lot of uncertainty, and I think that's why it's like a mixture. There's some good, there's some bad about this episode, but I don't think it either ruined it or made it excel in any way. Instead, it just makes me say, like where we last left off, I'm just craving the next big moment. In a perfect world, this episode would have aired last week, but unfortunately New Year's breaks, obviously delayed it some. But I don't think it was a bad episode in the slightest. I think some people will say either I'm overreacting that the recap was perfect, and there's going to be people who, maybe even myself included, will say are overreacting because they say the recap ruined it. For me, I'm in the middle ground. I really liked the new content of this episode, and I even liked a little bit of the recap in terms of what it served as a purpose, in terms of reminding us the aftermath. I just would have skimmed down a bit on it. I'm not saying I hated the episode or I hate the show in any way. I think I've been a pretty positive voice in the My Hero community for this show, but those are just my only small nitpicks and complaints. But if anything, I'm more excited for the next episode than I was leaving the last episode. So in that way, it did its job for sure. But thoughts and feelings yourself on this episode down below. What do you hope to see with like the regroup in terms of like what you want to see maybe the heroes try to attempt to do? Because I think the most important thing is to, give confidence to the general public, because that is seriously down the shitter right now. But at the same time, you got to heal up your best people first and foremost. But that seems to be the direction I think they should go. But at this point, who the hell knows? It's just going to be a nuclear bomb dropping on them probably, and they won't have time to think. But thoughts and theories yourself down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here. Like I mentioned, full live reaction is available on the Patreon, video shoutouts and other fun perks as well, so do consider if you so wish. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.